Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract success, while others struggle despite working just as hard? What if I told you that ancient biblical wisdom, particularly from King Solomon, holds the key to unlocking wealth, fulfilling relationships, and extraordinary achievement in every area of your life? Are you ready to discover the secret that transformed an ordinary journalist into America's most influential success philosopher? A secret so powerful yet so simple that it's been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years? Today, we're diving into the revolutionary wisdom of Napoleon Hill and how he masterfully repurposed Solomon's principles to create a philosophy that changed millions of lives and could change everything for you. This isn't just another motivational talk. This is about the fundamental laws that govern all achievement, principles so unwavering that Hill built his entire philosophy around them. Thoughts become things, and you will always inevitably harvest exactly what you plant. Imagine having complete control over your future results. Imagine knowing with absolute certainty that your mental attitude today is creating your reality tomorrow. What would you do differently? How would you live if you truly understood that every thought, every action, every habit is a seed with the power to transform your destiny? The answer to these questions could be worth millions to you, in dollars, relationships, and life satisfaction. Are you ready to discover what Napoleon Hill knew that most people never will? Napoleon Hill was born in a one-room cabin in rural Virginia in 1883. His humble beginnings would later inform his philosophy about the value of persistence and desire. After losing his mother at age 9 and facing a troubled relationship with his new stepmother, young Napoleon developed a rebellious streak. His life transformed at age 13 when his father gave him a typewriter, opening the door to a career in journalism. By age 25, Hill was writing for Bob Taylor's magazine, interviewing successful people, when his life changed forever upon meeting steel magnate Andrew Carnegie. During a 3-hour meeting that stretched into 3 days, Carnegie commissioned Hill to interview over 500 successful Americans and develop a philosophy of success that could be learned by ordinary people. This 20-year mission without payment would lead Hill to interview Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, Henry Ford, and countless others, distilling their wisdom into his masterpiece, Think and Grow Rich, in 1937. What distinguished Hill was his extraordinary ability to communicate complex ideas with simplicity and impact. His straightforward, principle-centered style belied the power of his message. Unlike many motivational speakers who relied on temporary emotional highs, Hill offered substantive principles that produced lasting change. His influence extends through generations of thought leaders, including W. Clement Stone, Og Mandino, and countless others who consider him their mentor. Until his passing in 1970, Hill remained dedicated to the idea that success is something you attract by the person you become. Ready to transform your life with timeless wisdom? Subscribe to our channel now for weekly insights inspired by Napoleon Hill and other personal development masters. Click the subscribe button below and join our community of growth-minded individuals. The wisdom of King Solomon stands as one of the most influential bodies of success principles in history. As the reputed author of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs, Solomon's teachings on wealth, wisdom, and human relations have shaped civilizations for thousands of years. In American culture, these principles found particularly fertile ground, resonating with the nation's entrepreneurial spirit and self-determination ethos. Diligent hands will rule, but laziness ends in forced labor, wrote Solomon, articulating a principle that would become central to the American dream. Solomon's insights about wealth creation were remarkably sophisticated. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it, he observed, not promising idle riches, but acknowledging that aligned purposes create effortless momentum. His teachings emphasized both material prosperity and character development. A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. This balanced perspective would later become a hallmark of Hill's approach to success. What makes Solomon's principles so enduring is their observable truth across cultures and time periods. Every thriving civilization independently discovered similar patterns, that prosperity follows certain laws of thought and action. The brilliance of biblical teaching was in establishing these patterns as universal principles rather than cultural coincidences. Solomon's wisdom formed the perfect foundation for Napoleon Hill's modern philosophy of personal development, as it addressed both the internal mindset and external actions required for lasting achievement. In a society searching for practical applications of timeless truths, Solomon's principles offered exactly what Americans sought: reliable formulas for prosperity based on natural laws rather than chance or privilege. What distinguished these teachings from mere positive thinking was their emphasis on definite action, following correct thought, a pragmatic approach that perfectly matched the American temperament. Napoleon Hill's genius lay in his ability to extract ancient Solomonic principles and apply them as a universal success formula accessible to everyone, regardless of background. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, Hill would often say, essentially translating Solomon's "as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he" for the modern American. This statement perfectly encapsulates his reframing of biblical wisdom, positioning it as a natural law rather than strictly religious teaching. Hill's interpretation centered on what he called the definiteness of purpose, emphasizing that our dominant thoughts function as seeds that inevitably yield corresponding results. "The starting point of all achievement is desire," he famously stated. "Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat." This perspective placed the power firmly in the hands of the individual, just as Solomon had taught that, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. What distinguished Hill's teaching was his emphasis on the compound effect of disciplined thinking. You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be, he taught. This insight transformed Solomon's wisdom into a practical formula for success in industrial America. He observed that most people fail not from lack of ability, but from lack of definite purpose maintained steadily. Through countless books and seminars across America, Hill helped people understand that extraordinary lives don't emerge from single dramatic actions, but from mundane thought disciplines maintained over time. The harvest of success, he taught, was available to anyone willing to plant the right mental seeds with patience and consistency. Transform your life through the power of purposeful thinking. If you've been inspired by Napoleon Hill's reinterpretation of Solomonic wisdom, subscribe now to receive our exclusive content on implementing these principles in modern American life. Hit subscribe and join thousands who are already reaping the rewards of these timeless teachings. Napoleon Hill recognized that truly successful lives required application across multiple dimensions, not just financial prosperity. He identified 5 crucial territories where Solomon's principles manifest most powerfully in American life. In the financial realm, Hill taught that wealth creation begins with definite purpose and organized planning. Riches begin in the form of thought, he observed. The amount is limited only by the person in whose mind the thought is put into motion. He encouraged Americans to develop specialized knowledge, create mastermind alliances, and practice persistent action, planting seeds that would grow into financial independence. In relationships, Hill emphasized the power of harmonious cooperation. "No man can succeed in a worthwhile undertaking without the cooperation of others," became one of his most quoted insights. He taught that meaningful connections require a spirit of giving rather than taking, reflecting Solomon's wisdom that a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. The harvest of strong relationships, he noted, often arrived when most needed during life's inevitable challenges. Regarding personal development, Hill was equally practical. Long before wellness became a cultural focus, he advocated for balancing physical, mental, and spiritual energies. Your mental attitude gives your entire personality a drawing power. that attracts the circumstances, things, and people that harmonize with it, he would remind audiences. Simple disciplines like maintaining positive emotions, controlling fears, and exercising faith were seeds that yielded energy, resilience, and quality of life. Perhaps most distinctive was Hill's emphasis on spiritual development through his principle of infinite intelligence. Faith is the head chemist of the mind, he stated. When faith is blended with thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration. In a distinctly American tradition of practical spirituality, he advocated tapping into higher wisdom through definite purpose, burning desire, and faith. He recommended daily communication with infinite intelligence, noting that this discipline alone could transform a person's circumstances within months. Finally, Hill addressed leadership development, teaching that true influence comes from character rather than position. A goal is a dream with a deadline, he advised, recognizing that internal growth inevitably produces external results across all areas of life. His balanced approach to these 5 dimensions created a holistic success philosophy that has guided Americans for generations. One of Napoleon Hill's most valuable contributions to American success philosophy was his honest treatment of timing in the manifestation process. Unlike get-rich-quick promoters, Hill acknowledged the natural delay between planting mental seeds and harvesting tangible results. Most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure, he taught. This insight addressed the fundamental challenge that causes many Americans to abandon positive habits before seeing results. The invisible early growth happening beneath the surface. Hill often illustrated this principle through agricultural metaphors familiar to his Depression-era audiences. When defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound. Rebuild those plans and set sail once more toward your coveted goal, he counseled. He understood that early in any growth process, whether building a business, developing a skill, or improving a relationship, progress often remains invisible to outside observers. This period requires what he called applied faith, trust, in natural processes that unfold according to their own timeline rather than our preferences. What separated Hill from many contemporary success teachers was his emphasis on persistence as a cornerstone of achievement. The majority of men meet with failure because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail, he insisted. This perspective reframes the waiting period not as wasted time, but as essential developmental space where character forms. The most valuable harvests, Hill taught, often require the longest growing seasons and multiple attempts. His teachings encouraged Americans to adopt long-term thinking in a culture increasingly focused on immediate results, reminding them that the most valuable achievements often come to those patient enough to nurture growth through multiple seasons. Are you ready to master the art of persistence in your personal growth journey? Subscribe now to receive our exclusive content on developing the mindset that leads to lasting success. Join our community today and learn how to transform waiting periods into powerful seasons of preparation. The brilliance of Napoleon Hill's teaching lies in its practicality. He transformed abstract Solomonic principles into concrete daily practices accessible to Americans from all walks of life. Central to his approach was the power of autosuggestion, what he called self-conditioning through repeated suggestion. Hill advised writing a clear statement of definite purpose, reading it aloud twice daily with emotion, and visualizing its accomplishment as already achieved. This practice creates what he termed a burning desire that moves individuals toward their desired future. Financial application begins with Hill's famous principle of going the extra mile, delivering more value than you're paid for, which increases your value in the marketplace. This simple formula has helped countless Americans establish financial growth, regardless of economic conditions. In relationships, Hill recommended daily cultivation of a pleasing personality through traits like flexibility, empathy, and positive mental attitude. These small seeds consistently planted yield rich harvests of deeper connections and opportunities. For personal development, Hill created the definite major purpose exercise. identifying your singular greatest goal and organizing all activities around its achievement. Over time, this focused investment compounds dramatically into greater achievement and satisfaction. He similarly advocated daily mind conditioning rather than sporadic motivation. "Your only limitation is the one you set up in your own mind," he advised. Perhaps most powerfully, Hill taught the practice of maintaining a mastermind alliance, regular meetings with like-minded individuals committed to each other's success. This habit creates what he called a third mind that accelerates growth by combining different perspectives and strengths. Through these practical applications, Hill demonstrated that extraordinary results come not from occasional inspiration, but from simple disciplines practiced consistently. His approach transformed Solomon's wisdom from philosophical observations into actionable formulas for modern American success. While Napoleon Hill's interpretation of Solomon's wisdom offers powerful insights, honest examination requires acknowledging its limitations and potential misapplications in American culture. Critics note that an overemphasis on positive thinking can sometimes minimize structural barriers that genuinely limit opportunity. Hill's philosophy emerged during America's industrial era when upward mobility seemed more universally accessible to certain groups. In today's more complex economy, factors like systemic inequities, access to education, and starting economic position significantly impact one's ability to reap, regardless of how diligently they sow mentally. The principles also face challenges, in contexts where cause and effect relationships aren't straightforward. Some individuals faithfully apply Hill's teachings yet face setbacks due to factors beyond their control, health crises, economic downturns, or family emergencies that disrupt even the most disciplined efforts. Without nuanced application, the principles risk implying that all suffering results from poor thinking, potentially breeding judgment rather than compassion. Additionally, some critics observe that American culture's individualistic interpretation can neglect the communal dimensions present in Solomon's original teaching, which emphasized justice and community welfare alongside personal prosperity. Perhaps most importantly, Hill himself acknowledged the principle's mysterious exceptions. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, he would admit, recognizing that setbacks sometimes serve purposes beyond our current understanding. These limitations don't invalidate the principles, but invite a more sophisticated application, one that balances personal responsibility with realistic expectations and compassion for oneself and others, when results don't match effort. The most mature practitioners of Hill's philosophy embrace both its empowering truth and its necessary qualifications. Napoleon Hill's greatest contribution to American personal development may be his ability to bridge ancient wisdom with modern application, creating a philosophy that transcends both religious and secular boundaries. The principles of Solomon, in Hill's hands, become not merely spiritual truths, but a practical framework for navigating life's complexities with intention and wisdom. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, he often said. This simple statement encapsulates the heart of his message, that we participate actively in creating our future through present thoughts. Perhaps what makes Hill's interpretation so enduring is its balanced perspective. Unlike purely materialistic success philosophies that focus exclusively on external results, Hill emphasized character development as the foundation for lasting achievement. The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does, he insisted. This insight shifts focus from merely acquiring possessions to developing qualities, persistence, integrity, faith, and service that naturally attract opportunity and growth. As we navigate an increasingly complex and rapidly changing world, the timeless wisdom of Solomon through Hill's lens offers a stabilizing perspective. It reminds us that despite technological and cultural shifts, certain principles remain constant. Mental attitude determines direction, specialized knowledge creates value, persistence overcomes temporary failure, character matters more than technique. These truths, illuminated by Hill's unique ability to communicate with both simplicity and depth, continue to guide seekers of personal growth decades after he first shared them. His legacy invites each of us to examine what seeds we're planting in our minds today, and to cultivate the patience and discipline needed to nurture them to full harvest. Whether you seek financial prosperity, meaningful relationships, or personal fulfillment, the ancient yet modern wisdom of Napoleon Hill's philosophy offers a proven pathway forward. Ready to apply these transformative principles in your own life? Subscribe to our channel now for weekly lessons on success principles from history's greatest teachers. Click the subscribe button below, activate notifications, and join thousands of success-minded individuals already benefiting from this timeless wisdom. Your greatest achievements are waiting just beyond your current thinking.